All right, I see Ayana. Go for it.
Hi, my girlfriend.
Hello.
I have a question for you. In the past, Fusion has been criticized for having board members that have not been maintaining board space and professionalism in this space. Being president, you must interact with people from all different backgrounds and identities. And how do you plan to navigate the space with sensitivity and care to avoid causing harm to general members? And can you be specific?
I say that was definitely one of the problems with this year's board, just because it's done through like a remote setting with online virtual meetings. I guess one way that I would make sure that board maintains a professional manner is that I'm firm on like the expectations from the beginning. Yeah, I would tell them like, although like you can be yourself and have fun, there should be a point where like you make sure that the general meetings run smoothly and make sure that you maintain like that professionalism as a board member. And should like they like act out of line, I'd make sure that other board members can like tell them to like, be more professional, or also like just tell them like during board meeting, like, hey, this is a CBB, this is something you could have done better. And yeah, I think that's it.
Beautifully said. Thank you, love.
Kelby puts a question in the chat. How would you address any board conflicts?
I'd address board conflict by making sure that I'm accessible for all board members. I would make sure that like they'd have one-on-ones with me at least twice every quarter. And like if there is a conflict, I'd want to hear like both sides of the story. And then like as well as like other people's opinions on it. And then once I listened to everything, like I would address it during the board meeting. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to resolve that conflict as soon as possible.
All right, I see JD's hands up. By the way, if you guys can please introduce yourself before you put your question, or before you say your question, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm JD. I'm a first year, pronouns he and his. I just want to ask, what inspired you to run for this position?
Well, like I said, I've been in Fusion for like most of college. I've seen Fusion when it was in person, when it was virtual, and then like everything in between. During my time in Fusion, there were some pretty good presidents like Dom, Sammy, Richard. I guess they're the ones that inspired me to run. And before doing platforms, I talked to both Sammy and Richard about the position and like how they could improve. And I see things that I also would want to improve within the club. And that's why I ran. Yeah.
Awesome. Up next we have Bobby.
Hello, Bobby, pronouns he, him, his, and Regina. I mean, I've been in Fusion as long as you have, and saw you in plethora of these what's it called, leadership roles and such. I want to know, with Fusion tracking such a diverse amount of people, what are your plans to be plans for inclusivity in terms of social and like project type settings? Sorry if it comes off a little weird, then I could reword it later.
No, I think it's okay. So with Fusion, I guess one way of making sure that it's more inclusive is just like emphasizing that this club isn't like only Filipinos or only engineering majors that can join. It's basically anyone that has an interest in STEM, anyone that wants to learn about Filipino culture is welcome to join. Anyone that has friends in the club can just meet people through the club and take advantage of like what we have to offer when it comes to like the internal programs and also like academic resources. And yeah, it's just emphasizing that Fusion is for everyone and everyone's welcome.
All right. Up next we have Mondo.
Hello, hi. Let me put my hand down. Hi, Amanda. Pronouns are they, them. First of all, Regina, I'm so excited for you. Yay, I'm
you.
so glad you're running. My question is, and you know this because you've been a board member, but like there's a lot to going into being like running this club. And especially if with a hybrid system, you could potentially be doubling the workload. So I'm wondering like, what is your plan for making sure that you're not overwhelmed and your board isn't overwhelmed and like making sure that the work gets done, but you're also taking care of yourselves?
I haven't fully thought of it yet with the hybrid structure. I guess that's what summer planning would be for, like just planning before the school year starts with my board on like what would be right to like structure it, and like as well as being updated on like the guidelines as the months progress. I think that with a hybrid structure, it would be like virtual, and then as like the guidelines lift or whatever, we're trying to go towards like being in person, being like back to normal or whatever. And yeah, I would just continuously work with my board to make sure that they know like what is expected, as well as like what would work better in like a remote or like in-person setting.
Cool, cool. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Up next we have JD.
Hi, it's me again, JD. First year, PM his.
Hello.
Regina, I have a question. Which pillar of fusion did you think maybe lacked this year, or which one would you like to focus more on next year that to better emphasize to be along as the others?
I'd say that the pillar that lacked the most this year would be like professionalism. I only say this because like, yeah, it's a Zoom meeting, like everyone can talk and whatever. And it's like okay to joke, but then like you have gen mems and then also like guests doing externals, and then they come in and then someone's talking about fusion feet for like 5 minutes. But yeah, I'd say professionalism would be like the main thing that needs to be improved upon. And as with what pillar I'd emphasize, I guess that would be like the Filipino and engineering aspects. Although I believe that all pillars are important when it comes to the club.
I want to expand on that really quickly if there's no questions right now. You did mention Filipino or culture in general. How would you do that next year? Like focus on culture, because I feel like that's something that's been mentioned from years, like before, that we've always been trying to do. So I'm curious to see like if you have any ideas so far, or like what is your approach going to be?
I guess with culture, we have had like several collabs, I think, with the Alianza orgs that mainly focus on culture. And there are some meetings where we tried, or at least in person, we try like Filipino foods. I guess I could like, me and the board could research on like what would be like good meeting ideas when it comes to like maybe Filipino food, Filipino media, Filipino fashion, just like stuff like that. And like I think one of the things I didn't do much this year was like go to other Alianza org meetings. So that's another thing I could do, is just join other meetings and see what they have, and then maybe like take pieces from that or like be inspired by that and make my own meetings.
Sounds good. Thank you. Ayana.
Hi again. Apologies for not introducing myself earlier. My name is Ayana, pronouns she, her, hers. Can you please critique the current position holder?
I think I touched upon this a little bit. I think although Richard did a really good job, he could have been stricter with board expectations. That's like in regards to like presenting themselves in meetings and making sure that like everyone feels comfortable within the meeting. Another thing I'd say is that I sat in like 2 of their board meetings that happened recently. And one of the things I noticed is that everyone had like their cameras turned off, which was kind of weird. I understand that not everyone could turn on their camera, but I think it helps to like see who you're working with, as well as like if they're like understanding, if they're engaging with the board meetings. And also another thing is like I think some people left the board meetings early, which I'm not sure if that's because of like an emergency or something, or like if Richard was just being lax about it. But yeah, I thought that was also kind of weird.
Okay,
Up next, we have Nick. Ayana, you don't have a. Okay, cool. Yeah, Nick.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nicholas Jimenez. I'm rising 4th year for next year in person. So my question relies on like a work culture thing, because the president is that's the main role. What is your ideal board member attributes, characteristics? For example, like who do you want to work with?
Sure. So my ideal board members would be DB board. I'm just kidding. I'd say that I'd be willing to work with like anyone who's just open-minded, anyone that has ideas for fusion, anyone who's communicative, who's honest, who's ambitious, and is passionate about the club.